Hey guys, and welcome to the Surge Growth Partner Podcast, a podcast where we interview top-level executives inside leading and growing companies in the IT and cybersecurity space. Excited to have our guest today, Christopher Dean. We'll be diving into his story, what his company Bnet Systems specializes in, and some engaging insights into the IT industry. So I'll go ahead and kick it off to you, Christopher. If you could just please introduce yourself, tell a quick snippet of your story and your background prior to starting Bnet Systems.
Sure. Well, thank you, Alessandro, for having me on. It's a pleasure, and I've been looking forward to this. So Bnet started back in 1994. I was an IT person at a corporation, and someone called and said, "Nobody can print on our network. Can you come over and figure it out?" And I said, "Well, I'm at work, so I'll have to do it after hours." They said, "No problem." I came over, I figured it out, and they said, "Wow, can we pay you to come over and fix things when they break?" And I thought, well, this is pretty good income. Okay, sure. And through word of mouth over the years, we grew, and I still had the main job. And so I started to have to hire people to help me out. So by the mid to late 90s, we've got, I don't know, maybe 3 people or something running around doing things. And I kind of kept that going. And the next big change was when I left the corporate world in 2013, so about 10 years ago, to focus on Bnet fully. And at that point, it had grown to where we had, 8 or 9 people working for us. And it was a lot of clients, all through word of mouth, which is great. It's not the fastest way to get new clients, but it certainly is the most durable, because if someone's referring you that likes you already, you're halfway there. So we did that, and that's when we really transitioned to what I'm going to call Bnet 2.0, where we started to feel like a real company. And so throughout the 20 teens, we just worked on professionalizing everything, getting the right team in place, getting healthcare and that sort of thing. And, we're there now, which is great. But it was a long road, and it was really brick by brick that I built this up. And it also took a while to get the right people in place. That's an often overlooked part of this equation. It's great to have the clients and stuff, but you have to have a well-functioning team. So it's taken a lot of time to get the right mix of people who will work well together, who are excited by technology and solving problems, and yet are disciplined enough to work on their own, because we don't have a headquarters building where everyone comes into in the morning and we give them their marching orders. We're all virtual, and they've got to be self-starters, and they've got to be organized. And it takes a while to get those people, but we now have a really good team that does that. And I'm really very proud of them all.
That's amazing. I love hearing the origin stories of companies and kind of how everything got off the ground, and the first bricks by brick that you kind of built. I am curious though, in terms of what was it about IT and cybersecurity, or IT obviously to start with? What was it about IT that kind of sparked your interest, and you then obviously go to start a whole company around it? What was it that kind of
It's really just as simple as I find it interesting. It's funny, because I was not a computer science major as an undergrad. I didn't do, I was all liberal arts. That's what I did. And but I was always messing around with computers on the side and tinkering with them and building them and fixing them. So I think I'm sort of a closet engineer. I guess now I'm out of the closet. So now I'm really an engineer. But it's all about having that interest in how do things work, and how do I tweak things, and how would I reconfigure something, and what's really going on behind the scenes here. And you just have to have that mindset or that mentality, I think, to be a good engineer. Everything is a little puzzle that it has to be solved. And that's what interests people that I think do really well in this field, is there's an underlying interest level in problem solving and puzzle solving.
Definitely. Something I definitely could see that it's something very gratifying once you're able to complete, right? It's you're able to fix it and get the right tools wherever it needs to be in place. I am curious though, in terms of, you've obviously been inside the industry for quite a while now. You've probably
Oh,
seen a
yes.
lot of
Yes.
evolution of the IT and, probably the introduction of cybersecurity and I'm curious as to, what maybe trends you're seeing right now in terms of, where you think maybe the IT industry is moving towards, or anything that maybe you wanted to maybe have bring acknowledgement
Yeah,
to the
I would
audience.
say the thing that's really top of mind for me right now, and as it is for everyone because it's getting a lot of press, is AI. And how is AI going to impact not just what we do, but cybersecurity? That you can, when you look at things like deep fakes and things like that, or you can sit down at Chat GPT and come up with a pretty credible paragraph on something that you didn't write. You just fed it a few key terms. I wonder if, and I don't wonder, I'm pretty sure it's going to really ramp up things like phishing attacks or any kind of scam that people might fall prey to. It's just the quality of the scam is going to get much, much better because of AI, and it's going to get faster. So, people are going to be able to spit out a lot more of these phishing emails that are a lot more effective than they can today. And who knows, maybe AI will be used to try to hack into a network in ways that we hadn't even considered. So, the flip side of that is maybe we can use AI to guard against some of this stuff. Maybe AI can identify some of this stuff and help us. But that's the thing that's been consuming, most of my brain cycles these days is, my gosh, like, how is this going to happen? How is this going to unfold? And what impact is it going to have on our industry? And I just think it's still too early to tell. We don't know yet. But I think we all know it's going to be a pretty seismic shift in how things are done and how we do things too.
Definitely, definitely. I couldn't agree more. I think the introduction of AI has obviously brought so much prosperity and so many new things that you can are able to do with it, but it's
It
also, there's a
is.
double-edged sword, right? Where, you use, when used for bad, it's you're able to manipulate AI and absolutely destroy,
Yeah,
companies, reputations, whatever it be, the data breaches, right? And so it's definitely a scary world to be in because you don't know how good and sophisticated these
right.
attackers are going to get with AI, right? Because, like you said, the deep fakes, I mean, if you hear some of
Yeah,
them, it sounds like, a person's
right.
not, you would never even know, right? And they're using, I know I just saw something the other day where it was like Joe Rogan. They made like a deep fake of Joe Rogan where he was
Right.
promoting this product and they were selling it as like an ad,
Right.
and he had never endorsed it, but they were, able to use his endorsement of it. And it's crazy, kind of like how, when these attackers are getting so creative with
Right.
using this
And there's
technology, right? And
also
so,
always a
like you
lag
said,
time between um, technology and then regulation. So at some point, I'm sure the government is going to say, okay, I mean, they've already started to think about this, but how do we regulate this? Like, one thing is, well, it would be good to know the source of this video or this whatever it is. Is it generated by AI or is it generated by a human being? And how do you know? And maybe there's some stamp of approval or something, or some way to figure out where it came from so you can assess the validity of it. And but there's a delay. So it's going to take, the government moves very slowly. And so it's going to take a long time before that happens. And even still, it's not going to be perfect. And so it's, the government is going to be playing catch up in terms of regulations, and there will be some regulations coming that'll probably protect some of this, but it'll never protect all of it. But there's that gap in the middle where the technology is racing far ahead of any of the guardrails or controls around it. And that's worrying too, because, it might be too late. Not to be an alarmist, but I've seen it again and again with technology.
no, definitely. I mean, who knows, right? That's
Yeah,
what I'm always like. Who knows what the future holds? It's going to be a. I'll tell you that much. Like I always think about it, the next 5 to 10
yeah,
years, like with AI, I'm like, it's going to be a crazy, crazy world to live in. Because the amount of advancements that we're having. I mean, it's like ChatGPT comes out with a new update
right.
every single couple of months, and it's like the things that it can do now. From just 6, 7 months ago, you were
Yeah,
like, whoa, like you were able to they come up with this new update where you can upload a file to ChatGPT and it can scan the file, analyze it, and it can give you feedback on it. And it's like now it has access to web browsing, so it's every single time it's just getting better and better and better. So, but cool. Well, I do want to make kind of a transition now, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about Bnet Systems and kind of what you guys are doing over there. If you can kind of maybe just educate the audience on some of your primary service offerings at Bnet Systems, and where do you think clients maybe get the most value from when they work?
Okay, so we are what's called in the industry a managed services provider, or an MSP, which is a little too vague for me. What I usually call it is outsourced IT. So we're like your IT department, only we're outsourced. So we have engineers on the team. We've got help desk people on the team, project managers, client managers, all of that good stuff. And we really offer three, I would say I would boil it down to three different buckets of services. The bread and butter is our IT support services. So that's where we take responsibility for your network, your cloud assets, your hardware, your laptops, things like that, servers, if you still have any. That's been one trend. Everyone's gone from servers to the cloud. And we just make sure that they're patched and they're secure and they're running properly, good performance, and they're doing what people need. And that's kind of, that's probably, I don't know, 50 or 60% of the work that we do is that. And from that, there will be little projects that come out like, oh, we're going to open a remote office. Can you set that up for us? Or, oh, we need something on Salesforce. Can you help us find someone to do that? That sort of thing. But the other stuff, we do a lot of project work too. So the remainder of it is project work. And that falls between cloud migration is the most popular one now. So as our clients' servers get old and it's time to replace them, we always go and say, okay, you got a choice. We can buy you a new server, get it set up, and things will go status quo, or we can move you to the cloud and you'll never have to worry about servers again. And, you won't have to worry about your building shutting down power on the weekend for some maintenance thing, and now no one can get into the server. That all goes away. So cloud migrations and cloud strategies in general are one of the consulting or project buckets that we do. And then the other is cybersecurity. And this is something that is just an unavoidable necessity these days. I wish we didn't have to worry about it, but we do. And it is another area that we've seen ramp up. Of course, as part of our normal IT support services, we offer a standard suite of security services. So, everybody is going to have an encrypted hard drive. Everybody is going to use multi-factor authentication to log in. Everybody is going to have some sort of password management system. Network security will be buttoned up. We're backing everything up just in case. That comes kind of with the package for normal IT services. Then we've got enhanced services for the clients that want them. And that'll be things like external penetration tests. Who can hack into your network? Okay, well, let's close those loopholes. Internal vulnerability scans. If there's some bad actor in your system or a disgruntled employee or something, how much damage can they do from within? And that's all about how did you set up permissions, or how were the permissions set up so that people can't jump to see things that they're not supposed to see. As people move to the cloud, a lot of stuff that used to be hosted on servers is now hosted up on a cloud in some application somewhere. So there's cloud application penetration testing. Can someone else get into your cloud-based application who shouldn't be? Or if someone goes rogue and is already in there, how much damage can they do? So the same type of thing that we do on the clouds. And then, of course, phishing awareness training is something we push really heavily for all of our clients. And it usually winds up being part of the basic package if they sign up for it. Most of them do. And that's where we partner with a pretty well-known national cyber or phishing awareness company. And the basic deal is we send out a bunch of fake phishing emails. We see how many people were fooled. That establishes their baseline phishing proneness, which is usually 30 to 35% of those emails will fool people. Then they go through some online training, and then we continue through the course of a year to send them these fake phishing emails, and the percentage always goes down, usually to the single percentage digits, like 5, 6, 7%. But if we notice people are clicking on things they shouldn't, we can flag that and run them through training again. And then the last thing under the enhanced security consulting that we do and services that we do are security assessments and insurance and regulatory compliance. So we've got, for example, a lot of clients that get cyber insurance. Well, guess what? If you want cyber insurance and you want a lower rate, the cyber insurance company is going to send you a questionnaire and say things like, do you do phishing awareness training? Do you have these basics? Do you have multi-factor authentication enabled? Things like that will lower the insurance premium for our clients. So we do a lot of that, and I don't know if it's driven more by they want to be more secure or they want a lower bill from their insurance company. It doesn't matter. It all gets the same place at the end. But we do that sort of thing too. And, there are also regulatory compliance things. There's a client of ours that does a lot of federal government work, and they have to basically be compliant with certain security standards. It's a protocol. And we go through and go down the checklist and make sure that they do that. And if not, we fix it. So that's kind of a long-winded answer to what do we do and what are the different buckets of work that we divide our work into.
Yeah, no, I love to see the comprehensive suite of products that you guys obviously offer. And, it sounds like you guys, even when you highlight, doing the phishing awareness training, like that's so important to a company, something as small as that, because, what we're seeing now is, I think it was like 90% of cyber attacks are human-based errors. So that's obviously, it's important to kind of have that emphasis on making sure you're training your users, you're giving them the proper education on it. So I definitely think that, the package that you guys have is something that is going to be valuable to any business when you work with, right? I am kind of curious though, what are some of the main challenges that maybe you see your clients are facing before they start working with you? And how do you help them solve those challenges once they obviously...
Yeah, I mean, it'll depend, of course, a lot on the client. We have some clients that have kind of a Wild West mentality where they would allow their employees to go buy any computer they want and install anything they want on it. And so in that type of scenario, the challenge for us is to apply some discipline, which is, okay, it's a company computer. You can't put all your video games on there and let your kids use it. Like, this is a company computer, so we're going to have to lock it down. I'm sorry, but it's not yours computer, it's the company's. And so we enforce discipline by, taking away their administrator rights, which they don't need to run it day to day. But it also means if they're ever hacked, it limits the damage that a hacker can do because they don't have free reign over the whole machine. On the other side of the equation, we've got some places that already may have an IT person in place, and they're pretty sophisticated and they know what they're doing, but they only want us for a set number of things. Like one of our clients says, okay, we've got someone that does tier 1 help desk, so we don't need you for that. But we do need someone to take care of the servers and the cloud-based stuff. So we really want you for system administration work and any help desk stuff that our tier 1 guy can't deal with or is too busy for. Like, okay, we can do that. So in that situation, it's really important to develop what we call a permissions matrix. Who does what? Who's responsible for what? So we can all stay in our lanes and we're not stepping on any toes. And there's no confusion or worse, missed areas because, I thought you were doing it. Well, I thought you were doing it. So those are the two extremes. And then most clients fall within the middle. They're somewhat organized, but they're not really standardized. So whenever possible, we also try to standardize on, when it's time to replace your next round of laptops, just buy all the same model. That way they can be somewhat interchangeable. If there's a problem, it's easier to manage. They're known quantities. So, that type of thing is going to apply almost to everyone, but it's usually about applying consistency, applying basic security practices, which is always a challenge because for almost all clients, we're the guys coming in saying, I'm sorry, you can't do that anymore. And then we explain why, and they understand it, but it's a tough place to be to have to tell a new client no. But we're doing it for their benefit. And once we explain the reasons, they see the light and they're okay with it.
Definitely. I think that's always important, right? It's like you have to, obviously, you never want to upset the client, but you kind of have to give a little bit of pushback. It's like, hey, this is the best thing for you in the end, right? And it's and obviously when you communicate that, it's I think clients also
it's their company, it's their money. I always say, look, my job as a trusted technology advisor is to tell you my recommendation on what you should do and the pros of doing that and the cons of not doing that. However, at the end of the day, it's your decision. So if you want to make that decision and take the risk and know that the bad stuff may happen, that's fine. We'll help you as much as we possibly can, but we think this is the way to go.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate you sharing, obviously what you guys do at Bnet Systems. And I think it's definitely something, special you guys got going on. And I am kind of curious as to, being a founder and, starting a company from the ground up. I wanted to, maybe ask you and just have the audience, maybe you share with the audience as well. What are some of those challenges that kind of came with, bootstrapping your own company and doing it yourself?
It depends on the phase. So at the very beginning, it was finding talented people who were really good, but could also work part-time and almost on demand, because computer problems don't happen on a schedule. They happen at the worst possible time. So, trying to find that right mix of techs that can come in and nail the problem and also be empathetic and be really, good communicators with the client and all of that. It's just a really tough mix to find the right people. So that's why it's taken years and years to find the right people. And once I find them, I try to treat them really well and keep them around, because I just know how hard it is to find, to find the right mix of talents. As we've grown, one thing we did at the very beginning was come up with a model where we had an assigned team for each client, and there are pros and cons to that. And we're starting to sort of strain under that model a little bit now as we're getting bigger. But basically the way it works is if you sign up as a client with Bnet Systems, you're going to be assigned a client manager, a system administrator, and then a primary and a secondary technician. And the reason is we don't want a single point of failure. So if the primary tech is out sick, the secondary will know enough about that client to go in and do what they want or to do what they need. And they're already aware of the personalities there, the way it's set up, the do's and the don'ts, all that sort of thing that you wouldn't get if you just had a free floating group of techs that went in, whenever there was a problem. Now, if on the other hand, if you try to go and have free floating everybody, then we don't really get that warm, fuzzy connection with the client. And we have clients that have come to us specifically because we do this dedicated model, because they were in the other model with another MSP before and they didn't like it. They're like, this other guy came, they sent us someone new. We had to explain everything all over to him again. It's just annoying. We're busy. We just want it fixed. Why couldn't they send the guy that came last week? So for us, it's worked really well. We still have clients number 1 and number 2 from 94 and 95 that are still with us, and we're coming up on 30 years. And I will tell you, the average tenure of an MSP in a company is 2 or 3 years. Either the company gets sick of the MSP and they make a change, or new leadership comes into the company and they want to make their mark and make a change, or something happens. But we've been at this. I mean, most of our clients do not leave. There are some that do for a variety of reasons, but it's almost never because they're not happy with us. It's usually because there's a merger and they're merging with a company that has an IT department or something like that. So I really think that this model of a dedicated team has really been the underpinning to all that, because they've got a relationship with us. They trust us. And that's what we want to be. We want to be their trusted technology partner, so that they come to us when they've got a problem with or a question about technology, and we're happy to help them.
Definitely. And I think that's such a, whenever I hear stories of companies growing off a lot of word of mouth marketing referrals, I'm always like, well, they must just have an amazing product, right? Because like you don't grow from word of mouth, you don't grow from referrals if your product isn't really good, right? And so I think that that's a testament to obviously what you guys are building over there at Bnet Systems, and that's love to hear that. I am curious though, as you've probably grown a lot from referrals and word of mouth, marketing. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges that maybe you've experienced when it comes to kind of the sales and marketing
all
side
of it all of it I am not a marketing person. It's kind of a dark art to me. I don't understand it. I don't know how it works, but apparently the idea is if you put your name out there frequently enough, one day there will be that time when there's a problem and they remember you and then they call you. It seems to be as simple as that. But we did not do marketing before about 3 or 4 years ago. And we've got a great member on our team who has a marketing background, and she has been just phenomenal about getting us in front of people that we wouldn't normally see. The word of mouth thing is great because it's a very durable way of getting new clients. Like I said earlier, once someone is vouching for you, a client of yours that's happy with you, and they're their office neighbor or whoever it is, they're whatever, and we're almost there. I mean, we're more than halfway there. We're almost in, but it's not predictable and it's not scalable. So, you're just it's random. You're kind of waiting for the next thing. You can't really push it because it's going to happen the way it's going to happen. So we're never going to shut that off. But my team member who focuses on marketing said, we really need to start marketing. You need to get out on LinkedIn and post something on a regular basis. We need to go to some of these IT, MSP review sites that will review different MSPs in different areas and get a rating with them and show up and, go to Google search engine optimization and get us to show up higher on the list when people search in our area for MSPs. So she's been really pushing on that, and it's worked. I'm amazed. I mean, I'm very happy, but I'm still a little surprised. But yeah, it's worked. I mean, we've gotten a lot of new clients that are not from word of mouth, and we always ask, how'd you hear about us? And it's usually like, oh yeah, well, I saw you on the Clutch website because they do a lot of IT reviews, and or some other one, expertise.com or whatever it is, or we saw you on Google or whatever. And it works. So that's something we've really been ramping up over the past few years, and it has really paid off. I'm very happy to say, because like I said, I don't know how this stuff works, but I'm just glad that it does.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely not a common theme that I'm seeing, but I would say that not to group MSP founders together, right? I don't want to do that, but usually what I've noticed that a lot of MSP founders are kind of those tech. They love technology. They love, like you said, you have just that passion for it. You wouldn't have started a company if you didn't love technology, right? So I think some of that marketing and the sales stuff, it's like it's the boring part of the business that I just don't like as much, and so it's kind of something that I've noticed. So you're not alone in that. You're definitely not alone. But I'm curious, as as new things, horizons, obviously, visions. I'm sure you have, where you want to take the company. I never like to ask like 5-10 year plan, but in terms of the next, year, what are you guys trying to build, or what's the vision that you have right now?
We have a few. We've been working with a management consultant to sort of identify these things and prioritize them. And, we're in a pretty good place, but we still do have some goals. And, there's still some things to fine tune, I would say, on the business operations side. We're tweaking how we manage the tech team, and we're looking at how we rebalance the load of clients across client managers and things like that. So that's pretty, boring garden variety stuff. But there are a couple of technical things coming up that we want to do. There's a new regulation coming out for any vendor working with the Department of Defense or any Department of Defense contractor called CMMC. It's the Cyber Maturity Model. I forget what the last C is for. this has been a voluntary thing, but it's going to become mandatory probably in 24 or 25. And as an MSP that has clients in that DoD space, we're going to need to comply with it. So, it's just like anything else you have to comply with. It's a checklist of you got to do this, and have these certifications and all that. So that is going to be a big push for us. I'd say we're probably about 60% of the way there, maybe more, based on what we already do. But we just need to finish that up so we can get that stamp, that certification, validation, and not only continue to support our existing clients that have that need, but potentially market it to new clients and get them that way. That's a big thing. And then we're also trying to figure out what is a realistic and acceptable growth pattern, or not pattern, but growth amount. So of course, I'm sure everybody you talk to is like, oh yeah, we want to grow and be big, big, big. I'm a little different than that. Of course, it would be nice to be the next Bill Gates or Steve Jobs. Well, Steve's dead, but somebody like that. But I'm more interested in putting out a quality, like I want our quality of work to be the highest quality. I want it to be the best. And that to me is the goal, more than becoming the biggest MSP in our geographic area, which is Washington, D.C. generally, although we have some clients all around the country, but the majority of them are here in D.C. So I'm all about quality rather than size, but we still need to set some targets, and figuring out what is the right balance between growth and quality and just juggling everything else that's going on is a real challenge. So these are all kind of operational type things, and I'm focused on it because we just had a meeting a few days ago about this, so it's fresh in my head. But that's the kind of stuff that we're trying to do. We're trying to improve the organization and position us to grow at a realistic rate.
Definitely. And I think that, it's such a important topic to kind of bring up, is the fact of, you obviously want to grow as a business. That's the most, important thing, is like growth. But then you have to also, like, what's always in the back of your mind is like, well, I can't sacrifice the client delivery, the client experience. Right. And so it's that fine balance of, like you said, how much do we want to realistically take on if we don't have the staff yet, if we don't have the team members? And so it's about being strategic and having, those proper growth setups where it's, we have the capacity to handle that. If we were to bring on more, we can always hire, or just having that in your mind is, I think, is super important. And it's kind of what I've experienced as well in business, where it's like, we want to take on more, but we don't want to sacrifice what we're doing right now. And so it's definitely that, like, teeter tottering, right? You're always like something you're always dealing with. But hey man, it's been awesome talking to you. I love kind of getting the insights that you've shared, and you've talked about your company, kind of what you guys specialize in. I did want to end with one question I always kind of like asking my guests, and that is obviously a loaded question, but it's what are some of the most important things that you've learned in your career that you'd be willing to share?
I mean, I would say treat everyone with respect. Everybody, your employees, your clients, even your competitors. Just treat everyone with respect. And it's important from a team management standpoint, because of course you can be that boss that's screaming and shouting and trying to get things done, and you'll get some short-term gains from that, but long-term, I don't think it's going to work out. So this kind of fits into having, spent years and years trying to build a really good team. You've got to get the right people, but you also have to treat them right. You got to have a little flexibility. You've got to be, aware that they've got lives and they've got kids and spouses and stuff. And that's one of the nice things about our job, is that a lot of our work is not, it does not have to be done immediately. Like, some of it does. If something's broken, it has to be fixed. But, if we're patching a server, it can be done, any weeknight, as long as we get a maintenance window and get approval to restart the server, and no one's going to use it. I mean, so there's a lot of flexibility there. So I like to make sure we always treat our folks with respect, and our clients too. And then sort of hand in hand with that is really getting inside to understand how our business, our clients rather, do their work. How do they handle their business? What's important to them? What are their priorities? We do an annual IT review with them where we dig into that in great detail, and we want to know what are their priorities for the next year. Even if it doesn't seem to be related to IT will almost certainly have to support those goals. So we want to understand how they work, why they work, what motivates them, so we can do a better job supporting them. And I guess that's a facet of respect, but to me, you got to treat people right. You just do. Otherwise, people are going to leave, clients are going to leave, techs are going to leave. You just got to treat people well.
Yeah. Such a great point. And it's one of my mentors had always taught me that, business is so built upon relationships, right? And making sure that you obviously, like you said, treating those people right, treating those people with respect is something that goes a long way, and showing that, you obviously care, and you do care about their business, right? And you do care about their success. It's going to separate you from everybody else, because everyone is, I think, everyone wants money, right? Everyone's chasing transactions, right? And that's why we're doing it. But there's that layer that if you prioritize, respecting people, prioritize trying to help them, the money's going to come. Like, the money's a byproduct of that. And I think sometimes people put money over that, and it's like, well, that's not the right way to look at business, because you're just setting yourself up to be money driven, right? And I'm sure everyone is money driven to an extent, but you have to have that, that balance where it's putting people first, because at the end of the day, when you do business, do a service-based business, you're dealing with people all the time, right? And you have to be able to have that level of respect with people, and I think it's everything that's reciprocated as well. And so I think that's a great point, and it's a great way to, I think, conclude this.
One last final thought on that, and this is very intricately tied into it, is trust. So if we treat them with respect and we understand them, they will trust us, and especially with IT, because we've got the keys to everything. So they have to trust us. And I'm always telling my team, trust, it takes forever to build up trust, and it only takes one or two screw ups before you lose it. It doesn't. It's faster. It's faster to lose it than it is to gain it. So everything we do, I'm really concerned about our reputation, because I want it to be, solid gold. I want it to be great. I don't want anyone to think, oh, well, they did this because, they don't care about us, or they don't understand, or they're greedy, or whatever. No, that's not how we operate.
Yeah. You only get one name. Someone told me that. So you only get one name in business, and it's true. So, well, hey man, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much for coming on the show. If the audience obviously wants to maybe talk to you, or they want to reach out to you, what would be the best place for them to contact you or your company? Obviously include it in the
I mean, just email me. I'm cdean@bnetsystems.com. Check out our website, www.bnetsystems.com. It's all there. And there's a contact us form there too, if that's easier. And, I'd be happy to talk to anyone about any of this stuff. It's it started off as a little side thing, and then it kind of took over my life, but it's the best job I've ever had. I love it. I get to work with really smart, dedicated people all day. I've got a bunch of great clients. We all do. I've had to fire a couple of clients, but, just one or two, but they were like very argumentative and didn't pay their bills. So, that's the end of that. So yeah, I mean, please reach out. I'd be happy to talk to you about anything.
Great. Well, hey, thank you again, man. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you did stay all the way to the end, we do appreciate you. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more related content. We hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Thanks so much.
Take care. Ciao.